still remember my first proper office job. I spent a week putting together this huge market analysis report. I was so proud of it. I sent it to my manager, and he replied with a one-line email that just said, "This is not what I wanted. Do it again."
Ouch. No feedback, no guidance, just that. That's rough.
Exactly. I had no idea what to do next. I just felt completely crushed. And whether you've been on the receiving end of feedback like that or you're terrified of giving it, you're in the right place. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with us on Boost Your Business English today.
It's a huge challenge, isn't it? Especially when English isn't your first language. You're constantly walking this tightrope between being too direct and sounding rude or being too soft and unclear, so nothing changes.
That's the core problem right there. You want to be helpful, but you're worried about offending someone or damaging a relationship with a colleague. So today, we're going to fix that. We'll give you a simple, powerful framework and the exact phrases you need to give feedback that is clear, professional, and actually helpful.
And you'll want to stay with us until the end because we're saving the most powerful sentence of all for last. And trust me, once you hear it, you'll use it every single week.
Okay, so let's get into the core lesson. Forget vague, unhelpful comments. The best professional feedback has a clear, three-part structure. We call it the positive, specific, forward model.
Positive, specific, forward. Got it. So how does that work in practice?
First, you start with something genuinely positive. This isn't about fake praise. It's about acknowledging the effort and finding something that works. It makes the other person receptive to what comes next.
Okay, so that opens the door.
Exactly. Second, you address the specific issue, not "this is bad," but "I noticed in the conclusion that the key takeaways could be clearer." Be precise. And third, you offer a forward-looking suggestion. You're not just pointing out a problem, you're collaborating on a solution.
Right. So instead of my old boss saying, this report is not good enough, which is just awful,
Terrible.
he could have said, thanks for putting this together, Alex. You've done a solid job with the research. That's the positive. One thing I'd suggest is tightening the conclusion to make our recommendations stand out more. That's the specific issue.
And the forward suggestion?
Perhaps you could add a bullet point summary on the final page. Let me know what you think. See the difference? One is a dead end. The other is a roadmap.
It's night and day. It turns criticism into coaching. Okay, let's get even more practical. We know the structure, now we need the language. This is our hear, repeat, learn section. We'll give you some essential phrases, and we encourage you to pause and say them out loud.
Yes, actually saying them helps build muscle memory.
One thing worth looking at is... Repeat that after me. One thing worth looking at is...
It's a great opener. It's collaborative and not aggressive.
Next, for softening criticism, instead of "this part is weak," you can say "this could be stronger." It frames it as an opportunity, not a failure. Try it. This could be stronger.
Okay, number 3. Being specific with your suggestion. Use this phrase. What I'd suggest here is, it's clear, direct, and positions you as a helper. Let's hear it. What I'd suggest here is,
You've made a strong start. This acknowledges the work they've already put in. Say it with me. You've made a strong start.
and finally, ending the conversation well. You want to leave them feeling motivated, not defeated. A brilliant phrase for this is, I think with a few tweaks, this will be really strong. It shows you believe in the work and in them. Your turn. I think with a few tweaks, this will be really strong.
Those 5 phrases are your new best friends. And if you're finding this useful, now would be a fantastic time to hit that subscribe or follow button so you don't miss out on more practical tips like these.
Okay, Theory is one thing, but let's see it in action. Chloe and I are going to do a couple of role plays. First up, I'm going to give Chloe some feedback on a report she sent me. Ready, Chloe?
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Okay. Hey, Chloe. Thanks for sending this over. Overall, the structure is really clear, which makes it easy to follow. One area I'd flag is the data section in Chapter 3. For a non-specialist audience, some of the charts could be a little overwhelming. What do you think about adding a short summary paragraph at the top of that section to explain the key findings?
Ah, okay. That's really helpful. Thank you. So you're saying it's a bit too technical for a general reader right now?
Exactly. Just a little. But honestly, the rest of it is genuinely strong. I think that one small addition would make it perfect.
And scene. Okay, let's break that down. As the person receiving that, I felt respected. You started with what worked. The structure is really clear. That immediately put me at ease.
Right, the positive part of our model. Then I didn't say your charts are confusing. I said one area I'd flag, which is softer, and I explained the reason for a non-specialist audience. It's not about you, it's about the reader.
And crucially, your forward suggestion was a question. What do you think about adding? It invited me into a conversation to solve the problem together. It wasn't a command.
Perfect. Okay, role play number 2. This time I've just finished the client presentation and Chloe is giving me some feedback.
Alex, great job in there. I thought you handled the questions at the end really well, especially that tricky one from the CEO. If I were to suggest one thing for next time, it would be to maybe slow down slightly at the very start. The first 2 minutes felt a little rushed.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Chloe. I did feel a bit nervous at the beginning. Is it more about the pace or how I'm delivering the content?
Mostly just the pace. Your content was spot on. I think just taking an extra breath before you start will make a huge difference. But honestly, you landed all the key messages perfectly.
And scene. So let's analyze that. What did Chloe do so well there?
Well, again, I started with a specific positive. You handled the questions really well. It shows I was paying attention and value your contribution. Then I used a classic softener. If I were to suggest one thing, this is brilliant because it frames the feedback as a minor point, not a major criticism.
Right, it lowers the defenses. And when I asked for clarification, you were able to be specific. It was about pace and not content. That's actionable. I know exactly what to focus on next time. And you finish by reinforcing that the overall performance was strong.
And that's the goal. The person should leave the conversation feeling capable and clear on what to do next. You know, Alex, we've talked a lot about phrases and structures, and they're incredibly important tools.
But it's not really about memorizing a script, is it?
Exactly. The real shift, the thing that makes all of this feel natural, happens when you change your intention. Your goal isn't to criticize. Your goal is to help your colleague, your report, or your company succeed.
That's a great point. If your genuine intention is to support them, that comes through in your tone of voice, your body language, and your word choice. The phrases we've taught you are just the best way to express that positive intention.
Think of yourself as a coach, not a critic. Your job is to make the other person feel respected and capable of improvement. When that's your mindset, the words will follow.
Okay, it's time to put it all together. Here's a practice question for you, our listener. Imagine this. Your colleague has sent you a proposal. The core idea is good, but the writing is unclear and it's far too long. How do you give them feedback professionally? Pause the podcast and think about it for a moment.
All right, you back? Here's how we might approach it. First, the positive. Thanks for sharing this. The central idea here is really innovative, and I think it has a lot of potential.
Then, the specific issue, framed gently. One thing worth looking at is how we present it, to make sure the core idea really shines. The document could perhaps be a bit more concise. Notice we said concise, not shorter. It sounds more professional.
What I'd suggest is maybe adding an executive summary at the start and using some bullet points to break up the longer paragraphs. I think with a few tweaks, this will be really strong. And then, Alex, you add the final magic touch, the phrase we promised at the start.
Here it is, the most powerful, collaborative, respect-building sentence you can add to the end of your feedback. After you've made your suggestion, you simply ask, how does that sound to you?
That's it. So simple, but so powerful. Why does it work so well, Alex?
Because it transforms a monologue into a dialogue. It hands the power back to them. It says, I value your opinion. This is a partnership. My feedback is not a command, it's an idea. It opens the door for them to agree, to disagree, or to build on your suggestion. It's the ultimate sign of professional respect.
Use that phrase, and you will fundamentally change the way your feedback is received. So that's our deep dive into giving professional feedback in English. We hope you found it genuinely useful.
We'd love to hear from you. Our question for the comments this week is, what's harder for you, giving feedback or receiving it? And why? Let us know. We read every single one.
And if you haven't already, please take a second to click subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us a lot and ensures you get our new episodes as soon as they're released.
Absolutely. And if you found this helpful, you'll love our episode on how to lead a meeting so people actually listen. It's packed with just as many practical tips.
Finally, don't forget to grab your copy of our free Essential British English Guide. It's a fantastic resource we put together with key phrases, cultural tips, and common mistakes to avoid. It's perfect for anyone working in an English-speaking environment. The link is in the description below.
Thank you again for joining us. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chloe, and this has been Boost Your Business English. We'll talk to you soon.